All right, well, take two at this little project. Yeah, great, sick. Thanks for joining. I'm just gonna go over what I was saying a second ago. Probably do it a little faster this time, second time around and all. Yeah, so my history I was talking about really quickly on a personal note. Um, Sorry, I'll just get my volume down here. Yeah, so I started out as a dishwasher in a restaurant when I was 16 years old. Spent a whole ton of time working in restaurants, and finally, after 15 years or so, managed to buy my own. Um, my girlfriend and I renovated that and added in some lottery machines and a bar. And after 5 years, we're able to get our lives back, so to speak, and sell it. Working 70 hours a week unquestionably kind of takes its toll on you. As a result of all that, I spent the past year or so just kind of figuring out what I was going to do. When all of a sudden, I guess my brother and I started talking about, maybe playing Ark again, and then I ended up starting this community now. Even while I owned the restaurant, I was still really passionate about building communities and obviously playing Ark. And it was always something I enjoyed. But over the past few weeks, I kind of decided that I would transfer my hobby into more of a full-time thing to do. Financially, that's something I can afford to do now, so that's what I'm going to do. So that's about it for me. So for the next 30 days, I pretty much committed to myself doing the server for 12 to 15 hours a day, getting the community built up, getting everything going. And then after 30 days, I'll probably just scale it back to, 5 days a week, 8, 9 hours a day. Still, of course, playing a lot and so on. So that's all there is to say about me, really. The way this kind of community got started was really organically and a bit strange. My brother and I had been playing Far Cry 5 together, and, it's sort of a short game. You're not going to stay at it too long. We had always played Ark for years, and it was sort of just trying to figure out what the next game was going to be. And it's happened before, spend 4 or 5 days shopping around, watching YouTube videos, trying to find like a really ideal game. But unfortunately, once you've kind of played Ark, if you're into it, there's no real match for it yet, that I find, for me personally. So we started a server on Aberration simply because I hadn't played that map very much before. My brother had tried it and found solo a little difficult. So he was into doing it again, as long as we could. He was into trying Aberration again, but this time, of course, we would have a tribe, me and him. Sadly, every time I start up Ark, not sadly, I always end up kind of wanting to. My initial plans are always, I'm just going to play, and then I'm like, I want to play with a few more players, and then it ends up being like, well, I'm building up a little bit of obsession with gathering more players here. And that's sort of how it started. We got a few players. And I remember with Sick the very first time. And he was like, man, Aberration's a hard sell, dude. And we still managed to grab a couple players. And not only did we grab players, but players were buying the DLC before it was on sale just to join the server because of the concept and the Tribe of Nations idea. So it's really, I noticed that it took off well because there was all these people that loved Ark and wanted to play Ark but didn't have friends that played Ark. And for some of you that have tried to join other tribes, a lot of tribes you join, it's like there's this bossy guy kind of like, well, we're doing this, do that, and you never know if you're going to keep your stuff or what's going to happen. And Tribe of Nations seemed to solve a lot of problems for a lot of solo players. And then the other organic factor is people started meeting people and like building their own tribes, which means they're making sometimes, in some cases, online friends that last beyond the game. And who knows where that could lead. And that kind of inspired me a little bit to expand on the Tribe of Nations idea. I was really enthusiastic the way people were meeting people they didn't know and starting tribes. And, there was a few ups and downs, and then gradually we got settled in. Came up with an even more stable or, I guess, structured concept. And then the idea of the playthrough came, based entirely on me reading Reddit posts. And as I was reading them, I'd see people talking about doing the playthrough on single player And as most of you know, the issues on single player are pretty serious, and it's just not the same game. So I thought, well, let's give people a place where they can play, do the entire playthrough, and also do it with other people. And that spawned the playthrough idea. From there, it really started to grow, and then I went on vacation and lost some time. And then on coming back, it started to grow well again. For the past 2 days, of course, no promotion, but we'll see over this weekend how that can, with an implementation of a promotion program, it can really get a lot of new players in. At that point, I started really thinking about, over the past couple years, how many games I really enjoyed as much as Ark. And I thought, being realistic, I'll probably play Ark for the next year at least. And what's the best way to make that super interesting is start using the mods, the new maps, and continue with the playthrough. And very shortly, I'll wrap up this part and we'll get into more of the conversation. So feel free to start. Yeah, Q&A is coming up in less than a minute. Feel free to start typing in your questions now because we're almost there. I just wanted to sort of run my concept by you guys real quick first. So that started all this idea with the Twitch and the Facebook and Twitter, and that's just the thing around getting a circle going. The bigger the community, the better. People come here because they want to play with other players, and otherwise they do solo or they start their own servers. And one of the ways to grow that is to have like a circle where the Twitch complements the server complements the Twitch, and this and that. And as that continues, players learn about the server on multiple different avenues, and then, of course, that just tends to grow extensionally, or anyways, you know the word I'm looking for. Existentially? Something like that. Anyways, that wraps it up pretty much for the introduction to the video. So let's, for those who want to talk mods and other things as well, based on a conversation I had yesterday with some individuals that had questions about what kind of maps we're adding and what we're doing, gave me the thought of there's always the possibility of adding other maps, and there's always the possibility of passing control of certain maps to players that have funded 50% of it, let's say. So if you were like, I want this map with this mod with this, and this is something we want, and there's 8 of us that want it, and we want you to like promote it, and we'll pay for this much of it. You know, these are some of the things that could be done in the future, and some things to think about specifically on that topic as well. Outside of that, I don't have much more to add on my end. My plan, like I said, is to just keep growing the community as much as possible. My general role is to overwatch the community, ensure that it grows, manage the Discord and all the other social media aspects, and do introductions with players, contacting and inviting, as it would be a good way to phrase it. Outside of that, as it grows, I mean, there's other things, other people can help out in a lot of ways, whether that's helping with Twitch or helping with the server or adminning your own server under our umbrella. These are all things that could really be something we should consider in the future for sure. And that ends that, man. I'm not, I'll be just running around here, waiting for you guys if you have any questions or anything like that. As well, checking some of the promo stuff. I tried to set it up, I think, so all the screens of what I was doing would show. I'm not sure if that's working or not, but let's hope so. I have display capture and game capture, so the idea was if I popped out of Windows, I'd still be in front of everybody, but I'm not 100% sure that's going to work as intended, as they say. So I'll keep the Twitch going for like, another few minutes, and if no one has any questions or comments, I'll let it roll a little longer to let you guys catch up, and then see where it goes from there. Typical Steve. Well, I just did a big introduction, Husker, about what I was doing, how we got started, etc., etc. We were past all the who's bigs. We're past all the who's bigs and the why this got all going and what the sort of long-term plan is. And we're supposed to be entering the question and answer period, but I'm giving it a few minutes for anyone that has any questions, answers, mod suggestions, anything like that at all. And if nothing comes up, then I'm gonna move on to some other things. So it looks so far like not much has come up. So there's a pretty good chance we'll just be skipping it along. At the same time, I'm trying to bring up my post history, which Steam seems to be miserably failing at the first few tries here. So that I can bump this one. The bird mod for breeding, yeah, no. I guess the servers are here for years, as I was talking about earlier. When I first started playing the game, I played on official. It was really, really hard. I am totally against, in so many ways, most of the mods that we use, even classic flyers. I only put them on there for the community. For me, the game, if it's too easy, is just absolutely no fun at all. So S Plus adds these things like egg collectors. It adds all this stuff that just makes, and then as you like stacking mods, as you keep adding more and more mods that make the game easier and easier, it just doesn't become a game anymore. And if your XP and your times rates are all too fast and everything's quick, for me it makes my job nearly impossible because people come in for 2 weeks, they get everything and they go. In a 5 map cluster, if everyone gets everything right away, what's the fun in flying over with your super high rated breeded bird that took you 2 months to get and fly over and show that off to people, which is important for some, not for others. Um, and for those who want the game really easy and want everything without doing any grinding at all, there's so many 20 time servers. There's so many single player options. If you're only going to be one man on a server, it's dirt cheap to even buy a dedicated. It's going to suck. It's going to be boring, but that's what it is. I absolutely, on a personal note, am totally against the Argent update where you could pull the Doeds. The game, most fun I've ever had playing this game was my first 400 hours on official servers because it was super hard. The breeding's a huge aspect of the game. If you have a mod suggestion, send me the mod link on Discord in a private message and I'll take a look at it. If the mod just reduces grind to zero, I can tell you right now it'll probably be wholeheartedly rejected. But before you joined this chat, I had mentioned that yesterday I had a sort of almost a meeting with one of the larger tribes talking about the reason why I added this or do that or do that. And I shared with them what my reasoning was, what my logic was, and we came to some conclusions. And there's more to talk about, but it made me think about the fact that if people get together and they're like, look, we got $30 a month, 10 of us, that's $3 each. We want a server set up exactly like this. We want you to kind of promote it, or even we're going to promote it, whatever. And there's something we can do, and I can meet like halfway on the financing and stuff for stuff like that. So if people as groups come up, and as the community grows, this might happen. If people in groups come up with an idea that's something that can be added to the cluster without messing up the whole game, why not? And I don't mind to help pitch in for that if they're pitching in. And then that scales to a lot of different types of ideas and opens a lot of doors. So that if and I haven't looked at that mod yet, so I'm not totally rejecting it yet. But in our first conversation about it, and then when I first looked at it, I mean, I'm not. This is intense to hear, but so many players join so often and want the game made easier, and I find it's way too easy as is. So don't count on any more mods coming in on a server that I'm directly 100% responsible for making the game much easier than it already has. My favorite map right now is Ragnarok by far because of how hard it is. However, PM me on Discord the mod link, and I'll happily take a serious look at it. And it could be something, when it comes to the PvE server, that's where, I'd be more happy to add mods that make the game easier. But even then, if you make it too easy on PvE, it's going to be boring. People are going to bounce, What did this guy have up on this ad here in the first place? Why am I... Oh, right, we're bumping my own ad. I'm like, why am I even messaging someone who's already got 500 freaking responses? Yeah, so besides Husker's mod demand, which sounds didn't sound like a positive response. Doesn't really make it seem like we're having an open discussion, but I get all amped up when I think about the game getting any easier. Because if the challenge is removed, I'll tell you this, and everyone can. Obviously, if someone puts $1 million cash in front of you, you're not going to say, "Well, no, I prefer." Well, most people won't say, "I prefer to make the money myself and would like the challenge," right? Because that's money. That changes your life. But when it comes to games and even work, human beings generally lose interest when they're not challenged at whatever they're doing, from children all the way up to adults. If the game's not challenging, the population will disappear fast. It has to be a bit hard. I don't know why my camera's so foggy there. I just bought it. It's kind of new. Fix that up another day. The fridge trough, please. Send a link to me right now on Discord and I'll take a look at it. I'm guessing it's a trough that preserves the food longer. All right. Well, like I said, send me the link on Discord in a PM or on Steam even. The basic qualifications to even make it onto our servers is first the mod's got to have an active modder involved in it. The mod has to be updated, and I go through all the not all of it. Sometimes there's 5,000 discussions, but I generally go through the discussions as well to make sure that there's not a lot of issues or that it's a conflict. So that's the first start to before a mod makes it on the list, and then from there it just depends on how it affects the game. But the sooner you send it to me, the sooner I can let you know, and then I'll give you my opinion on it too, which might give you a hint as to what I find acceptable and what I don't. Pretzels and mustard. I don't know. I never had that, but it sounds pretty good. Let's see how our post is doing that we just put up here. Make sure it's staying on a decent page. Yeah. Why? I'm not happy with this new arc adding my picture. I wanted this picture to be added, not me. What the heck's up with that? It's because it's my profile pic? Like, give me a break. See if we can get that freaking... I don't even have a profile pic. Oh, it's because it's my Steam pic. That's why. Uh-huh. Alright, let's just change that right now then. Well, guys, I'm gonna probably just dump this Twitch real quick if there's nothing else going on. I've got a bunch of stuff I'd like to do tonight. Mystic's probably joining me for some serious gameplay. Send it to my DM. Let me get a look. There we go. Cooper. Yeah, I'd always considered these. Distributes food to your dinos, but when it's powered, it preserves it like a fridge. See, here's where we run into some concerns. Now, it's just one person's opinion, but it makes, it's not ideal. As this mod has not been updated for well over 2 years, I'm ready to unsubscribe and make my own. At least then I can keep it up to date. Don't get me wrong, this still works, but there's no guarantee that it will later, as it has only ever been updated once since release. Now, of course, when it comes to mods like one single individual item like this, whether it's a spyglass, yeah, let's talk about transferring stuff right after, Husker. That's a great topic. Thank you for bringing it up. Very good. Um, with the feeding trough like this, it shouldn't really need to be any changes. But if they ever make an adjustment to the base feeding trough for whatever reason, that's going to end up wiping everybody's feeding troughs. What are the odds? Pretty low. So relatively safe. This guy's point is kind of garbage. Kind of. As we see, most people are saying that, yeah, well, it still works. And then some people are saying, we get a lot of requests for an update. It's not the ideal. The ideal is when you look at the mod and you see a bunch of information in the front by the modder, and he's active. Shitty mods cause downtime. Unupdated mods cause problems when the game updates. And then when you got a mod problem, you got to start removing mods, restarting, seeing if it works, and adding them back, and it can cause a problem. I like it sick if it ain't broke. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll put that to one of the reasons I kept my book and pen and paper handy was to make some notes. So we're going to add Zan 2F feeding mod. And put it on the list of considerations. Definitely something that could be instantly almost, well, no, actually I won't say yes yet. Let's think about it. All right, Husker, about the transfers. First and foremost, it seems as a general, almost all server clusters don't allow transfers from PvE into PvP. The reason being is everyone will store all their good stuff on PvE, including dinos and items, and they'll only bring them out for wartime, and that could cause some issues. When I brought the two new maps up, I was a little bit depressed about the fact that I wanted to make one PvE and one heavily modded with new dinos. That would mean, once again, we would have to block some of the transfers. And in the debate of what maps to add, it was unquestionably a huge problem for me. The alternative was to add more basic stuff so that like SE and Island kind of go well together. So it's pretty easy to let everything go as a transfer through. If you added Aber and had everybody transfer stuff, it would off balance the game. So that's a no-go. So we could have added the center and Ragnarok with the exact same settings. No new guns, no new dinos, no extinction core. We could have added those two maps just to have the maps, right? And then we could have full wide open transfers. Aber was so far away anyways. As far as the transfers go. So, what do you end up with, right? Do you want to have the more vanilla-like maps, or do you want to have these epic conversions and changes? And at the end of the day, the epic conversions and changes, in particular with the PvE and the Ragnarok Extinction Core, are better for the current players in the community because they'll have more variety, and are probably better for promotion aspects as well. Not everybody will agree with me, of course, but obviously bringing Extinction Core dinos onto the island, not sure. One of the big reasons I wanted to keep Ragnarok with item transfer back and forth, and will have to be very soon, is that the beauty of it is you don't have to own the Scorched Earth DLC to be able to get the Wyverns and the Scorched Earth DLC, because you can go to Ragnarok. So unquestionably, within the next 24 hours, there will be some adjustments made to the way the Ragnarok transfers are going. I know you're asking for aberration. I would like to know your motivation behind why how does Aber ruin balance? Well, you can't I don't want to bring Aber dinos onto the island. The island's like the basic starter map for all the noobs. Right? I think almost everybody would. I was going to later, once I catch up during the playthrough to Aber, remember the whole concept base is the playthrough. So if we have this playthrough on Aber, once we got there, once not necessarily me, but once most of the server made it that was doing the playthrough got to Aber, then we're going to full wide open it, a month or two down the road. Because by then once the community's established, there's tons of stuff, everybody's kind of reaching more of an end game, and they have little bases on every map, and they have dinos on every map. That's the time to make it wide open, with the exception of the PvE. And that will definitely happen in the future with no fixed date. The reason I asked about the let me just check on this stuff here. Yeah, exactly. On the first to respond, sick chaos bouncing back and forth between 4 servers today only had one issue. Considering how many mods we run and how complex the setup is for the 5 servers, and we've only been live for 24 hours, we're making some progress. Care using sort of and I got a little sidetracked in that conversation, but the main thing is, and again, I'm going to direct this right to you, Husker, and I'll ask you directly because I'm a direct person. Is your motivation to have full transfers on Aber because all your stuff's there, you're in Brotherhood with tons of dinos, and you want to have an easier time on the island and not do the work? If that's the case, I understand and respect that, but that can't be a basis for a decision involving the entire community. That decision has to be made. Every decision for the servers is always about the community more than even myself, my brother, or any individual. But there always has been, right from the beginning, and Frozen Food could confirm this, the plan that once the playthrough, the bulk of the players from the playthrough made it to Aber, so that's Island SE Aber jump, that we would make it wide open, and that would be great. And that makes, to me, very logical sense. As we age as a community and as we grow, it would be a great idea to make that a more wide open thing. But in the early game, in my opinion, it just kind of, like when a new person comes in and sees these, monster bases and these crazy dinos everywhere, many like it, some don't. So as far as the promotional purpose goes, I like it fresh. I like it still stuck in the primitive stage. And that's why adding new maps that are fresh now and again is a really good idea to get some new players in there. But opening stuff up, especially on the immediate front, I need to get rag items going back and forth from Scorched Earth and the island. And this is a community issue where I've made promises, and they're logical promises to people saying, don't worry, once we have Ragnarok, you won't need to buy Scorched Earth, right? And that makes the island a little more balanced, because even if you don't have the $20, you can get the Wyvern. So that's an immediate priority. I think I'm sticking hard guns on Abernation being wide open only once many people in the group get there. And sadly, Husker, as much as I like you and respect you, I know based on playing with you and so on that laziness is your motivation. So if we can be open about that, I think that we can maybe progress a little better on the effect of that decision, so to speak. So now, as far as the idea of bringing working dinos and stuff only, that's going to get written down on the notepad because I like that idea. However, I don't like the idea of really getting into tweaking clusters and tweaking the obelinsks and tweaking shit like that, because there you go, sick. The more I met these clusters in the past, when they first released them on Nitrato, Frozen Food and I were running a 3-server cluster, and anybody would have felt sorry for us, the problems we were having. The horrific response from Nitrato we got on customer service, and they've massively improved it. But at the same time, it leaves a sketchy feeling in my body to start making adjustments to the clusters. However, and in fact, Frozen Food, just to let you know, we open a new center server, no tame, no craft. I'm going to guess that's a joke, but if not, can you expand on that? I loved, Frozen Food and I did a no-fly center map, tough settings, amazing. We had an amazing experience on there. I do definitely want the center. And there's a couple other maps that Seth, you had, or Frozen Food, you had suggested that God one, whatever it was called. That looked amazing, you know. Well, I've kind of I'm not 100% sure what you're looking for, Husker, as far as the transfers go. My philosophy behind it is let's wait and see and get Ragnarok set up as soon as possible. And then Six saying, well, Volcano's got all that, but I think the purpose would be to kind of, because some people, I'm a man of the people, okay? Some people can afford the DLC and they've got wyverns. But for the like you were saying, for the poor man that can't afford, or we shouldn't even say can't afford, for someone that doesn't want to spend the money on DLC because they have other things to spend their money on, I would like to see them be able to get this stuff from Scorched Earth or Volcano. Volcano transfers will never happen because it's PvE though, so it has to be Rag, I think. I value anybody's opinions on that. Well, I can promise you, Husker, 100%, with the exception of like $2,000 in cash, I'm not opening Hibernation for a while. It's never going to happen. And I'm not sure I would do it for the $2,000. The $2,000 would be tempting, though, because it's like, oh, fuck it. But my baby is so important to me and the way it works and the concept that I don't think for money I could do it. I mean, not that anyone would pay that amount, but... can't... Yeah, okay. I think there might be... That's debatable. As far as increasing the gathering rate goes on Volcano. But I kind of do like the tame rates, gathering rates, resource rates to be the same across them all. But because the PvE has absolutely no transfers, that's something that can be discussed. And it is a big builder's server, and getting some more resources would allow for bigger builds. But, and this is the same reason I don't compromise on the taming speeds. Once you add too much of something, it takes away a use of another item. So if the taming speeds are too high, we don't need kibble anymore. If we don't need kibble, we don't need a cooker, we don't need recipes, blah, all these things get eliminated. No kibble means no breeding, no eggs, etc., etc. If the rates are too high, we don't need an Ankylo anymore. You know, so, or certain gathering dinos. And what items do you need to gather that fast that a Therizor can't gather? I mean, there's dinos that grab monster amounts of stuff. So that's the, that's the concept behind what happens when we mess with the rates too much. And an interesting thing I read on Reddit or Steam was a guy who had not played officials for a year or so and went back. And it's something that he came up with. And again, the problem is that my basic philosophy is, well, if I'll do it this way, the way I want, and invite everybody and see if they come. When my brother and I started our first server was absolute official rates on the island. Official all the way through, and I wouldn't compromise. And the reason being, we really liked the balance of the game as it was. Now, would I go back to playing without S+? Probably. Do I want to? I don't know. But as soon as you start boosting certain rates, you have a problem. That's why the rates I boosted instead of gathering were the amount of stuff that respawns and how fast something respawns and how close to your base. That way the grind's reduced because you don't have to go as far to get the mats. It respawns quicker. And at the same time, we're not eliminating the need for dinos to farm stuff. Kibble still does equal imprinting, but it's not the biggest it's not the biggest percentage of players that in fact even get into the breeding. A lot of them simply don't. So I gotta make an adjustment because I'm back in the actual game here. So a lot of them simply don't do the breeding, and won't do it till way later, and therefore they're gonna gain more from having to tame an Ankylo and get their items than they are from they're gonna lose by not having to tame. In my opinion, if you don't have to get the dinos, you're losing part of the game. Yeah, the S Plus Nanny, I don't know about that. There's been a lot of people saying that that's not exactly working the way it should, but I know for some breeders who are intense about it, they just like, this game has it appeals to people on a lot of fronts, and the breeding and raising your own animals is a great appeal. I think for a lot of the people that are really into it, they're not rolling with that S Plus Nanny, especially if things could go wrong. The feeding's unreliable. Okay. And I mean, I'm a little bit stubborn, but it's just that my big thing is I want the game to be both fun, challenging, and long term. And any major, changes you make and that would have a negative effect on that would be more of a problem for me. When it comes to adding, like when Sick Chaos was like add the eco whatever mod for stuff to place. When it comes to adding mods that don't affect balance, and are just for looks, I'm a little more flexible. The stacks have been a huge request. There's many people that don't play on our servers because we don't have stacks. And I looked up every available stack. Lots of them cause glitches, problems, things to disappear, other problems, conflicts with S+. And on top of it, do you want a guy to be able to carry 5,000 rounds of ammunition in an Argent to bring it to your base? I know I don't. So... yeah, Eco's a sponsored mod, I think. On the volcano map, it's ecoed up. You might as well call it the eco map. Okay, Tall Terry. Nice to talk to you, man. Glad you're in. For everybody in the Twitch, thanks for coming out. I know this isn't like one of those exciting let's watch Biggz get killed over and over again playing Ark streams, but I think it's a good chance for us to just kind of chat together and see what's up with the server. At this point, it's fair to say, I think I don't know how many weeks sick. You would know exactly how long everything's been running. But I think at this point, we're committed, right? We're pot committed. So, I'm already doing this. We're all in this. And for those who are planning to stick around for a while, it's good to come in and talk about it a bit. If I come to rag, it can be one of those type of things. I'm going to need some clarity on that statement, boss. Now let's try this. For everybody who's in this conversation now, if you could change one thing on any one map, short statement, what would it be and on which map? That's great, Sick. Starting soon, I'm going to be twitching with Ems and I actually playing the game. Or Mystic, as you know her. And we're kind of hilarious together. The back and forth is stupid. So that hopefully will be a little more entertaining. Make SE not exist. Okay, I like it. I fucking hate SE, but people are already there. Man, Rob Ford, man. Can't fuck with Rob Ford. He's over there. Those guys are serious over there. Rob Ford, the ex-crackhead mayor of Toronto. I mean, when you start throwing that name around in Canada, people listen. No, I'm just kidding. That's just his player name, but... Fat John Aberration. Well, Aber's never going to be... Well, for the way the promotion... When you think about... The promotion always revolves around Tribe of Nations. And wherever Tribe of Nations and Biggz are is generally where the players go. Not because I'm special, but because I can invite people through my friends list when I'm on the island or whatever map I'm on. The easiest to promote by far is the island as a starter place. So Aberration will never get too hectic until things blow up, if they ever did. My goal, like I had mentioned, is 100 players in the next 3 weeks. Doesn't have to be at all times, but 20 per server roughly. Yeah, I think the Sandmen are Rob Ford, and it could be his brother. I'm not sure if they're just friends or cousins, but they started on the island, I think, and he was like, you know what, man, we're gonna go down there. I'm like, look, nobody's down there. You might get bored. He's like, nah, whatever you say. And I like those guys, man. I've been over there a couple times. I was just dealing with something with them today. helping them out. Something I am curious about that I think sick. I definitely haven't ever beaten the Aberration boss. I think I only got 20, 30 hours on that. I set up there and then I was going to beat all the bosses on Aberration. And I set up there and then in the end I got this idea with the island. I think I've only defeated a couple bosses. I think one SE boss or one Ragnarok boss maybe. I don't know, not many though. Myself, I know you're not maybe even talking to me, but I think you're talking to Husker actually. Someone just killed that. Oh. Let's follow the pack of hyenas like we're a hyena. See what these guys are doing. Let's watch these boys at work. This is what I've heard about the Ragnarok caves as well, which I haven't done enough of, is they're very unique. There's puzzle games and other things instead of just killing. I think my brother's probably done more of them, but instead of just killing, bugs. I guess these guys are done hunting. This is their area. Yeah, that's what I've read. I think I've done maybe one. I don't remember it. Donation rewards. That's a great topic. What do you got on that? I'm actually gonna get up and just grab. I'm just having a couple beers because we're all socializing. It's like a party. So I'm gonna grab another one. You write down what you want to ask me, and I'll be right back. Um, I am unbelievably tight on the donation advantage pay to win concept. Um, I'll quickly share an experience with you. I had my first hardcore survivor game, multiplayer, was Arma 3 Exile mode. Um, and you drop in with a parachute. It's pre PUBG, but you drop in with a parachute, and there you are, with nothing but an orange suit on from jail, etc., etc., and you got to survive. Now, it's private servers, very similar to Ark. I play on one server where the guy has all kinds of shit you can buy for cash. All kinds, like weapons, guns, trucks, tanks. And me being me and already having played on other servers and put all this time into building a base and whatnot, I'll send him 20, $30, right? And I buy a whole bunch of gear. And, how do I know as time goes on? I mean, I get attacked a lot. I lose things that cost me $5 or $6. How do I know that the admin isn't in on it? Because I'm going to buy replacements. So that's one reason as well. If you start doing pay to win, forget it. Everybody leaves. There is no more. Yeah, exactly. And it kills the community. Look what it did to EA, right? Pay to win's garbage. Now, if someone like, especially when you're talking about blueprints, ascendant this, ascendant that, blah, 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 you know, that's a problem. If it's something that anybody could tame, like a pterodon, and the guy's new, you got to think about this as the donation thing. Let's say that some new player comes in. He's a baller and he's lazy. He doesn't want to pay for his base. You know, it's not going to change the game to give him some wood. And that $5 or whatever he puts in helps everybody to play, helps the server to continue. No harm, no foul. That's just a guy who wants to spend some money. Even if he doesn't know me, he's been on the server for a day. He says, look, I'm not taming no pterodon. I want a pterodon. Yeah, I'll give you a level 100. And that helps everybody that's playing in the server. Almost all the donation rewards are skins, and I've already sold a couple custom painted birds. And how does it affect the game if I go up and type, you know, admin cheat color region 1 and 6? It doesn't, and it's brought in about $15 to help the server out. And every dollar that goes in, like, you think I think it's pretty safe to assume that my food and groceries don't depend on what I'm doing here, right? The money's not for me to buy anything. It just you can't get there as far as the donations go. But every dollar that comes in helps add a new map. Man, I would have only added one map instead of 2 if the donations weren't there. And I don't think I'm getting rid of the donation rewards. The reason being is those rewards don't affect the play at all. They're skins, they're paints, and it's a way for me as well. I have to go personally to see the player in order to give them that reward, and then I get to interact a little bit and get to meet the person that might have made the donation who I haven't seen. It takes a little while to get the stuff done, so I get to meet them a bit. I take a screenshot of their bird, I put it on Facebook or wherever, and I enjoy doing it, and it's a way for me to give a good customer service to somebody without breaking the game. Anyone who's donated to, when they send me messages, I mean, I respond to everyone as quick as I can, but I'd feel kind of guilty personally if someone gave me $20 and they asked me for a simple question on Discord and I ignored them. So human nature makes it so, yeah, when you make a donation, I may answer you real fast just because I'll feel bad. You've helped people. We have single moms. We've got kids. We've got people who are running this thing on old beat-up computers because they can't afford other ones. Everybody that makes a donation helps those people have more maps and more choice. And what I was mentioning to some people yesterday too, the donations. Let's say that we maintain the 5 servers for the year, it's coming in around, I guess, 3,000 or 4,000 Canadian, probably closer to 4,000 Canadian dollars. And that's all good because I like it. I'm doing this because I love it. I like the challenge of building up the servers and having all the maps, and eventually I'm going to get to play in them, and eventually, you know, blah, blah, blah. But when you get these assholes that treat you like shit, and they do, you know, well, fuck you, you're not helping me, or why aren't you doing this, or what kind of shitbox server is that, or why am I lagging, or they send you, I've had people on the Discord say the meanest things to me because someone else was mean with them, no matter what I write, and you're paying to be treated like shit, so it hurts, and the donations make it hurt a little less, because for every one asshole that I get past, I might get to a nice person who appreciates what I do. And donates. And it's another way. The donations make me feel like that person really understands the work I'm putting in 10 or 12 hours a day, you know? So, yeah, exactly. Send me $8. Frozen food's in fucking finance. He knows those dollars, okay? But yeah, imagine that your euro and US dollars transfer well into Canadian. So those people that are like, you know, 10 euros, I don't know how many Canadian dollars that is, but it's a few. For them, it's not a big expense. And I'm into this 10 or 12 hours a day, you know, partially because I love it. And, well, because I love it. And why else would you fucking do it? I'm not making money. I'm losing money. Bottom line, end of the day. I think frozen food would have to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure the US dollar right now is stronger than the Canadian dollar, but I'm not sure. I could look it up, but shit. Should we? We got it right here, right? Let's do it. One United States dollar buys $1.32 Canadian. So we see there that value. Yes, Husker, man, you should be running this shit. I was just thinking of that a few minutes ago and I wanted to talk about it. There's that, and then there's other people that might want to be more involved. Um, but I'll get back to that later. But let's start with server events and event rewards. Definitely a key discussion point. It won't be for another week or two until I finish up getting my Twitch set up the way I want it, as far as the way it presents and overlays and appears, and getting a little bit more promotion done. But I was thinking next week to start building various arenas or other type of racetracks, because Doed rolling races can be fun, and things like this. So yeah, I'm confused a little bit about the U.S. dollar finance stuff that's going on, so I'm just going to let that slide. But yeah, so we're needing, definitely, we need, I mean, because I can, here's the way this is going to go. I'm going to do everything. If people are helping, it goes faster. That's all there is to it. I'll still get to it, you know, but whoever pitches in on stuff, all that does make it faster and easier. So if people want to, I have some really cool ideas for mini games and prizes that I'm working on. And they're really interesting. I like my shit to be unique, so I'm going to try and create unique ones. But but I would be happy if you think about something, you know, make it complete, you know, like, and send me an idea, then that'd be awesome. And then when it comes to building, for building a community battle arena or whatnot, there's neat mods that can make walls to keep it so no one can go blah, all this stuff. But we'll just spawn in the stuff and get it built up, you know. Sure. Well, that's the point, though, Artie. When you're talking about that, is a guy in Europe who gives 10 euros, right, turns into 50 Canadian dollars or whatever, 30. I don't know, but it make what I was trying. My point I was trying to make was for the Americans and the Europeans or Australians, wherever. It's even the money is like not as much and goes even further into the paying for the server. So get rid of event rewards. Yes, sick. So yeah, events and stuff I want to do, you know. I mean, I plan to put my heart and soul into this the same way I put my heart and soul into the restaurant I owned with my girlfriend. That's 70, 80, 90 hours a week for 5 years, no vacations. Maybe one day off a month, that's a true story. That can be confirmed in many ways. I'm not making that shit up. That's what we did. It almost killed us. It really almost killed us. But we got it done. And I'm going to be putting that same commitment into what I'm doing here on every front. On every front. And there's going to be people that are like, yeah, it's a waste of time, you know, blah, blah, blah. Well, I have the time to waste, and it's what I want to do. So I'm doing it because I want to do it. Good question, Husker, but I'm not willing to give away any of those secrets yet. Um, they're only ideas, and until I have my idea a little bit more refined, and it's something that can be used effectively, I don't think I want to get it out there yet. The thing, too, is that a big goal for me is to make the game interesting and fun all the time for everyone. And the best ways to do that are mods, conversions, total conversions. But community's a huge one. It's big when it comes to games, you know. My experience on the Division, once I made my own just a basic team speak for it and started giving that out to people that I randomly played with. My experience in Division got so much better once the community was built that I played with all the time. And it was a lot of fun. So I think that in order to keep it going, we're going to need these mini games. Of course, they're going to be worth it. Well, they're not going to be pointless. And just because you think a skin is pointless, Husker, there's a billion, well, maybe not billion, but there's $1 million industries on skins. So not everybody thinks those are pointless. Just ask most of the fucking Call of Duty players with their knife skins, right? Me personally, I don't care about skins, so. But I have bought them. Man, anyways, I spent money on mobile games for fucking stupid shit, so it happens. And other ways to promote. Look, I was mentioning it a minute ago, and I didn't get into it enough. Is that all my goals for the server are going to be accomplished if there's people that want to be a part of it to make it happen faster. You know, that whatever it is you want to contribute, or you think I could be doing better, um, which is more for presentation and overlay. I mean, I can't change the way I am as a human, so don't tell me how to be better that way. But if you think, hey, this should be written this way, or wouldn't this look good like that, or why don't you change this up to that, install this, I'm open to that as far as, obviously we've already talked about games and mods, but yeah, I can tell you why allying doesn't work in a half second. But I mean, there's other things to do to keep the server and the community running. And anyone who's like, fuck man, I want to be a part of this, I want to see where it goes next year. If this guy's serious about putting his fucking life into it, I'm happy to get any kind of help. Okay, so then there was the ally question. Yes. I'm not sure. It was mentioned to me that there may be a specific mod for allies. But under the official version of allies, and especially in particular under the Nitrato server manager system, you can't have an ally at the same time as offline raid protection. My guess is it would just complicate who gets protected from offline raiding when who's offline. I don't know why that's the case. But there will be no allies as long as there's ORP. I can definitely boost the water usage, frozen food. I've got it down now to 0.5. But I was on Scorched Earth once, had a water jar, and as soon as I put water in it, it was empty. It was so hot. If you'd like, I can juice it so hard so that every player just has to stand in the lake drinking water constantly. And I think we'll get a lot done that way. Let me write that suggestion down, frozen food, right away. Actually, let's just use a good old-fashioned copy and paste on this bad boy. And this one. Yeah, that's it, Zen. It may be an issue solely with Nitrato. I heard someone else told me that it's the official version of offline raid protection doesn't work with allies, and that there's an actual mod for offline raid protection. It's a big issue for the playthrough because obviously I don't want everybody in Tribe of Nations. Not everybody wants to be in Tribe of Nations. It's a fucking horror show. But now we can't be allies to go do the bosses together. So there are some option. It's not only with yeah, okay, there you go. Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not putting the ORP mod on. I already looked at it a little bit and it's gonna fuck shit up. Six said it before and I'll repeat it. When you're dealing with mods and you're dealing with clusters and you're dealing with these kind of things, the weirder things get, the weirder things get. And downtime, obviously the week I was on vacation was ridiculous. But aside from that, our downtime on battle metrics, you're talking is 99 and 100%, like up. Our servers mostly only go down on restarts in the morning. And that balance of fun, mods, and the shit working correctly is a very fine line we got to maintain. As soon as it was mentioned that there was an ORP mod, I was like, man, that's a complicated game mechanic. And I'm not 100% sure whether I want to mess with the official version of that mechanic. But, again, I also want to make sure that we can ally up for bosses. And the easiest solution I thought for that was every now and then, in an organized fashion, to remove the ORP for a boss day. You know, okay, this Tuesday or this Tuesday, Saturday, and Friday we're doing boss fighting days. ORPs removed from the island. And I'll jump in to spectate and keep everybody safe that's offline if needed. Yeah, well, it sounds interesting, Sir Dimwit. Oh yeah, okay, Dimwit. I remember. You're Tall Terry. It sounds interesting, and I was concerned, and it did bother me because of the bosses. The concept of the whole friggin' beginning was this playthrough, and how do we do allies to do these bosses? So it's something that's in deep in my mind that has to be fixed one way or the other. You know. And the other was, hey, let's find dates and scheduling. Let's, it's not an event, so to say, but let's set it up so that we can remove the ORP safely, and get everybody to ally the boss because it's a concern. It's a concern on a lot of fronts. It goes against when you're talking about the core concept of the community and the servers, and the playthrough is a part of that core concept. If there's something interfering with it, it's what I would consider to be an issue for sure. I have to go let my cat outside in a minute, folks. We'll do a mini 2 minute break there. I don't know how long we've been broadcasting, but well, the thing about AB too is it can almost take off the ORP permanently. I don't know about that community enough, but I think the Brotherhood's the Alpha Tribe. I understand they're pretty friendly. I'm not 100% sure we need the ORP there, but removing ORP when you've promoted. Here's the other thing: you sell someone one thing, and then 2 weeks later, fucking change the whole product. We got a problem. People came to the server based on the fact that I said this has ORP. So all of a sudden, when you remove it, it feels like you're kind of fucking people around. So that's a careful process as well, right? Yeah, I knew right away that ORP thing was always going to be a risk for me. This is a problem for me too. Here, you're going to see with this Reddit. This is my Steam picture. So like I don't understand why this. Why am I getting? This is the picture I want. Why the hell is it Biggz there? Full angry face. Anyways, we can deal with it for tonight. I did already in testing successfully uploaded Dino to I believe each of the maps. I think Sick has done a little testing as well. I don't believe that Seth has, but yeah, this you seem to have some unique problems. Sick and I have been on Google, both of us today, trying to figure that out, and maybe you guys should have a little discussion about it. I do need to go let my cat outside. I'm gonna pop up the "Be Right Back" window on the stream here, and won't be long, guys. All right. Yeah, and the big, so you're sick are saying you're able to get them there, and then what about back? You know, the idea is to block them from going back. That's one of my bigger concerns. Yeah, so that's working correctly for now. My next thing for tomorrow, well, for this evening's restart, um, it'll take whatever at 6 a.m. whenever it is to add the item movement back and forth from RAG. So hopefully that will be functioning correctly tomorrow. I tested it on Volcano because I didn't think anyone was going there right away. Um, I left the items open for the first start and was able to bring back an Ascendant spear from Volcano. So I then removed that option and hopefully that test, then I'll be able to apply that test to Ragnarok this evening. Now, this is going to suck if I add my Steam ID link to this message and it puts my picture up. It's not going to be cool. It ain't going to take long for everybody to know who Biggz is on Reddit and downvote everything I put up. Let's find out. Looks good. No picture. Let's upvote him because we're not even worried about really him seeing this. We're mostly looking for other people to see that. Love the game, hate the devs. Hell of a comment. No pick Kappa when he means sick. What? Chimera. That's from, these are like, that's a map from Arma. These are Arma Exile guys that moved into Arc. Or RP. Arma used to have a pretty serious role playing setup, man. Like with cops and paramedics and shit. It was pretty cool. I would love to do an RPG server, but I gotta be on it all the time, you know? And I don't know. I'd have a hard time staying always in character. Booyah. I will definitely add you, buddy. You're my boy. Well, I guess we're all done with the questions, it looks like. If anyone else doesn't have any other comments, I'm just blasting Reddit right now. Yeah, that's cool, sick. I mean, the only point was to just kind of bring everyone together that was really thinking of long term. You know, people that are definitely sticking around, and have a quick chat about what the plan is. So I think we've accomplished most of that goal at this point. If you guys ever wonder how I get players, I do this all day. Even buddy with like this is a potential. What up, Husker? Not much since you left, man. It seems like it's kind of winding down. Most questions must have been answered because no one's asking them, and I'm guessing most people are kind of playing, and the viewers have dropped down to almost zero. So we're probably dropping this. Twitch, this stream real soon, as I think we've accomplished the goal, as far as I'm aware. No rules on Reg, no rules on SE, no rules on Aber. The only place that there's rules is where Tribe of Nations is. And even that's not even rules, really. It's more like there's a kind of a government, if you will, who keeps things peaceful and cool. But all the other, wherever there's no admin, there can't be rules. Who's going to enforce them? So, you know what I mean? I don't want to be going like, I got to buy 5 PCs, have 5 ARCs running, 5 Steam accounts for all the maps so I can monitor everything. I'm not going to be very successful at that. But I also, and my brother included, our philosophy is ARC has enough systems in the mechanics to establish rules. So if you want no one popping pillars, you have mechanics. You can put that down in both PvE and PvP servers. If you don't want people building in a certain area, tell your alpha tribe that you don't want people building there, or things like that. So, well, you could technically just grief everyone on Aber. I mean, I think that I shouldn't. I'm going to say this, but I mean, I don't even know if it's necessary. The very beginning of the server, if the very first people involved in the server are friendly, they attract friendly people. You get more friendly people. Everyone starts in the same tribe, they become friendly. Then you end up with these friendly servers. I don't believe that at any point was Brotherhood messaging me saying we want to raid and wipe the rest of the people on the map because we don't want anyone here. Right? They're not going to. They want people there. I watched them. I watched them take Red into their tribe. They take all kinds of people into their tribe. Those aren't people really looking to wipe everyone out. I don't think they'd have fun. I don't personally think it would be fun as an alpha tribe to just go wreck everyone's stuff. I mean, what fun? Repeatedly pressing the button to shoot rockets? How's that fun, right? Yeah, exactly. Griefers play alone. That's right. Empty servers out. That's where that goes to. So I specifically was conscious and aware of any tribes that are growing to become alpha tribes because I know those alpha tribes are going to be the ones that help me maintain the servers. So I had many long talks with the leadership in Brotherhood because they play on the server I play on. I didn't tell them what to do. I didn't tell them how to behave. I shared my concept and idea with them and said, if you're on board with it, it's going to be easier. If you're not on board with it, you might see another, then it's going to be harder. I could tell by the way Brotherhood played and behaved that they were probably already on board with it. I know that Winterhold is on board with it. And I'm not going to worry too much about Ragnarok and SE, and then finally Volcanoes PvE, so I don't even have to worry about it. And those concerns could happen, and things do go wrong, and when that day comes, we'll cross that bridge. But for the time being, and we've all seen it in life, people that are attracted to each other hang out together. So if I'm a pretty friendly guy and I do my advertising in a friendly way, we're going to attract friendly players. And hardcore PvP players don't want to come here because too friendly. They want to go out and fuck shit up. That's right. I also don't. I agree with that statement you just made, Husker, and that's why I was pretty comfortable leaving Aberration in those hands. And I'm comfortable leaving the island if I have to in Winterhold and my brother's hands. You know, and that's again the natural game mechanic, right? You didn't need to make a rule to tell people to do things. People realized, like Sick just said, that griefers play alone. Winterlude realized it. Winterhold realized it hard. You know, where they actually respectfully responded to someone messing with them, and they weren't even that brutal about it. People packed up and left. So even when someone attacks you and is a dick, if you want to keep a community and you want to play multiplayer, your response can't be to completely evaporate them. Your response is better to manipulate, be smart. Keep your enemy on the server with you for your own entertainment purposes. You know, don't drive the enemy away. If America didn't have any enemies, they would lose a lot of jobs. There'd be a lot of people out of work. Enemies are important, and it's important they stay alive and exist in the video game world. And honestly, my PvP style of play is kind of trolly and griefy when I was playing Division and other games. It's just not an ARC, because, well, it was when I was PvPing, but I can't do that as the admin. So I don't really hate on people that come in and push things. If you have a lot of rules, there's a lot of people going to push and exploit those rules, and it's no good. Exactly. That's the whole point. And once we get more and more players, we're gonna have more and more people come in and fuck with us. And that's when you can have a lot of fun in PvP without the downside, so to speak. And growth has been slow-ish. It's not terrible, but I mean, I had that week off where I wasn't promoting, and then the past 2 days I've been adding the servers and so on and so forth. I've done my first promotion in a while today. So now that this is the new servers are almost where they need to be, there'll be a whole 7 days of hardcore focus on promotion. A lot of that won't end up on Aber though. Aber is a tough sell, and it's an even harder sell if I'm not there. Well, unless there's anything else, I feel like I'm probably about to end this one. Yeah, and Dimwit, Aberration's always going to be there. You know what I mean? So it's not going anywhere. I was saying it on Discord the other day. There's three people that play that know. Um, Three people that play that absolutely know that this server is not going anywhere, and those are the three people that are probably playing the slowest. Because we're not worried. We know it's staying. It's my brother and my girlfriend. You can't actually ever stop promoting Husker. The week I was away, the day I left, we were at 20 players at peak. By the time I came back, it was 10. Players will always leave the server for various reasons. Switching games, joining friends on another server, bored, whatever. There's 1,000 reasons to leave. So if you're not replacing the ones that leave all the time, then your population just drops. The lower the population, the harder it is to promote unless it's fresh and brand new. So, well, that's a never-ending question, because if there's 5 maps and 100 players, there'll be more donations, and therefore we can purchase more maps, and then we're going to need more players to fill those maps. And then with more players comes more donations and then more maps. So I don't see the end, and I don't see a cap. I see it, as opposed to capping, make more room would be my philosophy on that. If it ever got, I mean, it never will. There's 20,000 servers for 60,000 players, and that's an exaggerated number of players because many of those are playing in single player. You know, So you're not going to ever hit any kind of caps. I mean, unless you put a TV commercial out directly to ARC players who, like, you know, send an ad to people that own ARC on Steam, maybe, but I don't see how it's. There's like some guy Batman on Steam that beats me to almost every ad. You know, there's a lot of people trying to do what I do. They don't do it in the same way. We're very unique in the way we promote and the style we use, but they're still out there. All right, then. I'm going to wrap it up, gents. I think I've said all I can say almost. I think everyone who was here kind of has a better understanding of what I'm about, hopefully, because that was the point. And what's and where the server's going. So see y'all later. Thanks for joining. And for the people that have followed me in the past few days, thank you very much. Much appreciated. And we'll all talk again tomorrow. I'm pretty sure I'm not streaming tomorrow. I don't remember what my plans were, but if I do, I will probably be streaming on one of the maps with Mystic, one of the new maps, I would think, but I'm not sure. Depends on what she wants to do. Until then, take care. Thank you for the compliments. This will be the first stream I save on Twitch because it'll kind of be a good first video as it's sort of an introduction to our community and what we're about and some of the players in it. So I'm happy to have you guys as always. Really, I actually kind of enjoy, even though there's just a few of us here, like 10, but I do kind of enjoy the chats we have at night, and it's also a really neat way to interact with the players on the server in real time. So I find it's a super good resource, and I definitely plan to use it to the most of my capabilities, for sure. And yeah, that's about it. That'll wrap it up. See you guys later. Have a great night, and take care.